now we're in. Unfortunate for the technical difficulties we have had. So we've already had quite a few position changes here. Now we're already on to lap 5. Luke Mills is leading in the Mercedes. Or not. Even the timing screen's messing around everywhere. Let's see what's actually going on here. To get on top of everything. Okay, so Mitchell has taken the lead in his Williams. He's managed to jump Jonathan Foss, who was our pole sitter in the McLaren, through those opening 4 laps. Matthias Poss, Johnny's teammate, currently running P3 with Karol Wodzinski. Apologies if I have pronounced your name incorrectly. Up to P4, jumping ahead of the AlphaTauri of Dino Pushkadia, the Croatian driver who's currently running P5. Followed by Adam Meckel, the 2 Mercedes of Luke Mills and Quil Pavlakovic, as Anson Wong has unfortunately retired on the back straight. Looks like he's lost the car there coming out of the fast chicane as Johnny sets a new fastest lap. I don't think that's going to be a safety car though, so we are going to continue racing as we are. Will Coates, unfortunately for the Red Bull team, off the back of the grid, so must have already made a pit stop to be that far back by now. Yeah, he has. He's the only driver to have made a stop so far. Going onto the hard tyres, so possibly hoping to stretch those out to the end. Only other driver on the hard tyres is the Alfa Romeo of Alfie Harvey, currently running P12, so he will be looking to go long here, possibly make a switch to the softs late on. Those mediums should start really coming into their own, being probably quicker than the mediums, maybe around about lap 12 or so, as the mediums start to kind of drop off a cliff a little bit once you start getting into the teens, as Jan Nadir in P14 has unfortunately picked up our first 3-second time penalty of the day. For some reason that showed me a Ferrari, even though he's in a Williams. There he is. Mitch's teammate. So one Williams driver is doing very well, currently leading the race. The other not so much. And all my times have messed up again. Yay, this game. It is great, isn't it? But Mitch kind of streaking away at the front. Seems to have a reasonable lead over Johnny so far. As we see Matthias going to have to go a little bit defensive here probably against Karol. As they're both going to have the DRS, but Karol's extremely close coming out of that final corner, choosing not to deploy any battery, as Matthias is going to use his defensively, drops him down to below 40% on the charge rate, as he's going to take off after his teammate. That DRS is going to protect him from the Haas behind. He's going to hope to keep that 3rd position, give Johnny a bit of a buffer, and hopefully secure really good points for McLaren, depending on everything else that kicks off here. Dino's coming with these guys though. He's sticking close in P5 as Karol's gone. Karol's lost it out of the quick right-hander of turn 5. And he's going to damage his front wing and kind of has to sort of sit and wait for the traffic to come past. Big long train here behind Luke. So quite a lot of space for Karol to have to sit and wait for everyone to go. But that's not going to be a safety car either. That's unfortunate though for the Haas driver. Was running really well, but he can box for some hard tyres and a new front wing and potentially go to the end, might get bailed out by a safety car later if we do get one. But Mitch at 2.5 seconds clear at the front of the field in the Williams, probably just going to start managing the pace a little bit here. Doesn't really need to build that gap anymore. It should be sufficient to protect him from any kind of undercut or overcut that Johnny tries to do later on when we do get to the pit stop phases. We've got another yellow flag behind him, that's Dino, who has unfortunately lost that coming out of the right-hander of turn 12, which is where I died yesterday. And Owen just running a little off track, trying to avoid the recovering AlphaTauri, as Dino's gone again. This time he's hit the wall hard on the final corner and totally ruined his front wing, and he's going to have to go all the way around the track there with damage, so that's going to cost him a huge heap of time as he gets overtaken by the Williams of Jan Nadir. So unfortunate there for the Croatian, who was running really well up in this group at the front, just behind Mitchell. So that's going to release the 2 McLarens, basically. There's not going to be any pressure coming from behind now. Going to have a 4-second gap back to the Alpine of Adam Meckel, who's again going to have a 4-second gap back to the Mercedes duo of Luke and Quil. And Luke's doing pretty well. Up in P5 currently, but I mean, it was going very well for Mercedes yesterday until we both died within the space of 6 seconds. So we'll be hoping that doesn't happen again, otherwise we are officially cursed. Quite a big train opening up here behind the 2 Mercedes. Owens dropped about 3 seconds off the back of Quil, and he's going to be coming under some pressure possibly from, well, the Haas of George, his teammate Alfie, and the Ferrari of Antonio all behind him. which is sort of deciding the bottom end of the point standings right now. That's 7th to 10th, all within about a second and a half of each other. So these guys might get a little bit feisty, which is then going to open them up to everyone behind. But of course, Dino, currently down in 13th, is going to have to pit. So it's just going to be this 4-second gap back to Jan, and then hopefully Joseph's going to be able to close up on the back of him. Get some of that DRS love as we see Dino here is coming into the pits. It's a very, very tight pit lane entry here at Australia. I think they've put some new walls up or something, and there you see with that front wing damage. And Joseph Ellison has retired from the session. I think he's binned it out of turn 2, and that is going to be a safety car. So on lap 8, we get our first safety car, and that's kind of going to bail out the likes of Dino, Carol, and Will, who have already had to pit. They'll likely stay out on their hards. I imagine everybody else is probably going to come in for hard tyres. 21 laps, probably about 19 by the time we get going again. Shouldn't be too difficult to pull out for these guys on the hards, and they can all then go to the end. But it's going to be a case of whether the likes of Dino and Carol can jump any of them with the time they lost with their wing damage, as opposed to the racing speed pit stops I think we're going to see here. And Matthias Poss in 3rd place in the McLaren, he might lose out a little here as he's going to have to stack behind Johnny. Oh, it's just a virtual safety car. That's interesting. That would have definitely been a full safety car yesterday. But just a virtual safety car, so it's not going to close any of the gaps up. And Matthias isn't going to have to worry about double stacking behind Johnny. But it does mean they're not going to get on the back of Mitchell. He's going to keep this 2.5 seconds or thereabouts advantage at the front. And it's going to allow him just to stick with his pace. That's going to have cooled his tyres down a little bit, possibly allow them to go an extra lap or so into this race. They're not going to be quite pushing the limits quite so hard in terms of tyre wear. Medium soft is doable here, but you do need to be pretty soft and pretty gentle on your boots. So that's going to just make it a little bit easier for all of these guys in the top 8, all on their medium tyres, and potentially going to harm Alfie Harvey, currently in P9 on those hards, which will be totally fine up to temp and won't be too much slower than the mediums right now. As we have got a yellow flag, and that's Dino again, who has unfortunately had another moment at that final corner. I'm not sure if he's got any damage, but he's going to be coming under pressure from Will. Front wing all seems intact, but it's just whether there's any invisible damage on the floor or the side pods of that car, which is going to hamper his pace, or if he's just had a little spin and managed to keep it out of any of the walls. But he was running very high up the field, doing very well. So he will be looking to hopefully recover some places, probably trying to go to the end on these hard tyres, which do take a while to warm up, so it's probably helped with that aspect of it. But these guys are going to need to be a little careful, because Mitchell's not too far behind lapping them now. They're just coming through the newly reprofiled fast kink of 6 and 7 as Mitchell comes up to turn 3, so they're only really this little car park twisty section away from going a lap down, which is definitely going to ruin your race if that happens. But all more or less the same with the points positions. Antonio's looking for a move here though on Alfie coming into turn 3. Alfie's going to brake a little later, but he might run a bit deep here, but he manages to keep the car nicely on the racing line and fends off the Ferrari for now. Alfa Romeo does have a Ferrari Junior C, so hopefully Alfie's not in that to be getting a angry phone call from Mattia Binotto. But, well, I suppose he's perfectly entitled to keep his place there. Ferrari are likely going to screw up the strategy anyway, so it does make sense to cost yourself time. But Antonio's going to have another look here into the fast chicane, tries to go around the outside. He's going to be able to probably just squeeze Alfie in on the apex here, and he actually has such an overspeed. He manages to get past before they arrive at the corner. And we've got a yellow flag, and that's Owen. So Alfie's teammate Owen has completely binned it out of the fast chicane. There's debris in the middle of the track, and that is going to be a full safety car. So now we get the full safety car, and Matthias, first to react, quickly dives into the pits to get some new boots on. Mitchell and Johnny are going to have to go around again, but... oh. Mitchell has been disqualified for overtaking the safety car, apparently. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. I didn't see it. I only saw Johnny. So I'm not entirely sure where the safety car was when Mitchell came out of the pit lane. But that did seem very quick. You only get about 5 to 6 seconds to get back behind the safety car if you do accidentally overtake it, and he didn't seem to get that sort of. It's very close there at turn 1 between Adam and Alfie. Almost contact under safety car. Alfie staying out on those hard tyres he started on. And almost collected the Alpine as it emerged from the pit lane. Oh. And Alfie reporting desync. So I wonder if that's similar to have caused the issue with Mitchell. But, well, not a lot I can do about it from here, so we'll just have to see what happens in terms of the league coordination. Whether we continue with this and possibly investigate it later. So apparently Mitchell did accidentally overtake the safety car and immediately got disqualified instantaneously for it, which is definitely unfortunate. I was apparently told to pass it, which is very weird, as it should never say that to the leader. So, one of the many bugs in F1 22, unfortunately. As Johnny is going to pit now, but he's had to do a full lap under Delta behind safety car, so this is going to drop him a long way down the field, I think. Matthias is obviously going to go through following that safety car down the pit straight, but we can see the Alpine of Adam McCall, the Alfa Romeo of Alfie Harvey, and the Mercedes of Luke Mills at least are all going to overtake Johnny. I think he might just about have the gap back to George in the Haas. That is going to drop him down to P5. He's going to have slightly fresher tyres than everyone. This is going to be very tight. I'm not sure he got to safety car line 2, but there is contact between the drivers there. And Johnny gets a 5-second penalty for his exiting the pit lane troubles, but that will definitely get removed by the stewards. A little bit over-eager, I think, there from George. Just trying to make up that place, and he's actually lost one to Antonio under safety car. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but I suppose that's how it works. we've decided, but then this game really doesn't make too much sense in terms of some of the things it does. So on lap 12 now, we have already lost 4 drivers. Mitchell due to a probable game bug disqualification under safety car. Anson Wong with a crash, Joseph Ellison with a crash as well, and Owen unfortunately binning it out of the fast chicane. And yes, Mitch, I am quite aware, thank you. I said it'd have to be a record and upload job. For some reason the lobby wouldn't let me in while I was streaming. It was desyncing me from the EA servers, desyncing me from Steam, cloud syncing, and just everything, yeah. So we're going to have at least one more lap here under the safety car. Light's still flashing, so it's going to go around again. Alfie up to P3, but he is on those worn hard, so he might be a little bit of a sitting duck, and he is definitely going to have to pit again. Luke's not going to want to get held up too much. He's going to want to try and clear the Alfa Romeo as quick as possible. Get on the back of this front two here with Matthias and Adam. And of course you've got former race leader Johnny there in behind as Adam McCall's coming into pit, so he's getting off those hard tyres. Not entirely sure why that's happening, unless he's got some damage somewhere. And Johnny Foster's in as well. Again. We're going softs? Okay, so Johnny's serving his 5-second penalty that he got from George basically driving into him. And yeah, they're both going onto the soft tyres. So we're committing to a 2-stop from here. You're not getting soft 17 laps, I don't care who you are. They will be square if you try and take them to the end. But that's going to drop them down to 10th and 11th place, but they're going to be extremely quick. The thing about Australia that is different to most tracks is the softs are actually 2 tyre compounds, 2 steps softer than the mediums here. So the pace differential is massive, but obviously the wear differential is as well. So Johnny and Adam coming up from the back are going to be rapid on these soft tyres. They're going to breeze through a lot of these hard runners for the first 5 or 6 laps before the softs really start to fall off. You have around about 7% tyre wear a lap. Oh, and there's contact on the safety car. As Adam's kind of just driven into Dino, who's weaving and warming up his tyres. And Adam's got a little bit hasty there on the loud pedal, which has unfortunately caused damage to his wing, and there is going to be the safety car in, so that might kind of ruin his race, especially since he's gone over those softs looking to make an aggressive 2-stop work. And the throttle management problems with the throttling when the safety car says it's coming in has caused people to stop at the fast chicane. Oh no, it's booting me out again. Fuck's sake. So let's see if we can get this to work. Maybe. Once in a blue flood. F1 can actually be a stable game. Oh yeah, session no longer exists. Oh no, it does. We're good. But Antonio's unfortunately DNF'd. So seems we're missing a lot of the the DNFs unfortunately here. There's a good racing here going on between Will and Johnny. Johnny on those soft tyres looking to make up as much time as he can. And Alfie's already dropped back to P4. Luke and Quill in the Mercedes have both managed to get past him. But let's stay here with Johnny. Let's jump on board as he flicks through this fast chicane. On these soft tyres, he's going to have so much more grip and such a better exit. And there he goes. Nice little switchback on Will. Gets past the Red Bull driver and up into P8. And he's never going to send it from there. Oh, come on, Johnny. That was well over optimistic. Being perfectly within his right there, I think, to take that line. Johnny just braked a little late. And very, very optimistic. Drops him down back to P9, but he's got a bit of a gap behind him to George and Adam. So he'll be hoping he can keep a hold of that. As we see further towards the front now, we've got Matthias still leading in the McLaren. Managed to get a good restart there. Leads by a second over the Mercedes pairing of Luke Mills and Quill Pavlakovic. About a second between those two as well. And then a second and a half back to Alfie, who hasn't stopped yet. He's still on his hard tyres that he started the race on. Looking for another safety car going along. Jan Nadir, the one remaining Williams, are currently under pressure from Karol Wodzinski in the Haas, as he's going to be looking for a move here into the fast sweeping chicane, possibly. Thinks better of going for one there, but Jan's lost it completely, and that's a heavy impact with the wall. And that might cause another safety car. I think it does. Let's ride on board with George and see what kind of view we can get of the stricken Williams. Yeah, full safety car once again. So a little bit of chaos as we restart, and whoa, that's buried in the wall. He's got half a car left. So very unfortunate there. Bad day for Williams so far, as we've had one disqualification and one DNF. So they'll be hoping to improve next week in Suzuka. Especially in terms of the disqualification. Interesting to see here who pits. I think the front three definitely are going to stay out, yeah. Alfie is going to come in, so Alfie's going to get off those hards, put mediums on, go to the end. Carol's following him in. It would have been a little bit scuff with Carol and Dino's hards getting those to the end, especially with any kind of pace. And Johnny's going to come in on the softs as well, but I don't think he's going to get a set of softs 14 laps either. And he has already used his set of mediums, as we see Carol and Dino going on their used mediums that they started the race on, so they're going to have to really manage tyres to get those to the end. Alfie's on a brand new set. Didn't start the race on the mediums. He's only run the hards so far, so he's going to have that tyre advantage going towards the end of the race, and they're easily going to get to the end for Alfie. But Carol and Dino behind him are going to be pushing 20 laps, as Johnny's now gone on those hard tyres. He did one solitary lap on and almost loses the car with cold tyres coming out the pit lane. Just about managed to keep hold of it. You don't want to bin it on the safety car, Johnny. Especially with your teammate leading. That's not going to go down well with Zach Brown. So another safety car. We still haven't reached the dizzying heights of 5 that we had yesterday in Tier 2. But there's still time yet. There's 13 laps left. Plenty of time for more chaos. But we've already devolved to the point of if you finish, you score points. Yeah. We're barely over half distance, and already you get points if you finish. So that's good, I guess, for everyone that finishes. As long as you're not, 3 laps behind when we get there to the end. So we're going to have probably one more lap of safety car. I think the 3 guys at the back, George, Johnny, and Adam, are all going to be able to get on the back here before we go to a restart. Be interesting to see what Matthias does off this safety car restart. Missed the last one because of the game being the game, thankfully. But he did manage to build a 1 second lead, so we'll have to see if he can manage to do the same thing again this time. From Luke again. Alfie's going to be coming pretty quickly though on those brand new medium tyres. He's in P5, so we'll be looking for a good result if he can just stay consistent, not put it in a wall. There could be some really good points here coming for Alfa Romeo. We don't seem to have had any desync on this safety car, so I wonder if the desync drivers have all crashed. Which wouldn't be unsurprising, to be totally honest with you. Possibly little bits of contact here and there, causing those DNFs from drivers being unaware of the location of the other cars. Desync was a major issue in last year's game, obviously, but I have to say I haven't really seen too much of it in 22 before now, other than when you're doing the broadcast safety car option and broadcast formation lap. That could cause desync if people's timings were slightly off within the broadcast mode, which was unfortunate, but I don't know any league that would choose to do broadcast formation laps or safety cars anyways, so from an online standpoint it wasn't that impactful. Possibly just for a few little social races here and there, but we should see the safety car coming in here, should see the announcement. Yes, as we go into Sector 3, so a little bit of throttling going on for Matthias coming through that fast chicane, so everyone sort of overlaps a little bit, but thankfully no contact and no braking randomly. Although the camera's decided the cars are moving a lot faster than they are. As Matthias going to do some weaving here, warm up his tyres. So let's ride on board with Luke for the safety car restart. Let's see if he can live with the McLaren at the front. As the safety car is just rounding the final left-hander here, so it'll just about be going into the pit lane now. Meaning whenever Matthias is ready to go, he can drop the hammer and try and build that lead again. Safety car comfortably in the pit lane now. And I think we're going to see Matthias going into this final corner. Yeah, he does, but Luke manages to stick with him. And just a 3/10 gap back to the Mercedes driver. Quill was close, but seems to have made a mistake coming around that final corner. And that's possibly going to open him up to the Red Bull of Will as... Oh, Adam McCall's been disqualified for ignoring a drive-through. So it goes from bad to worse for some of our drivers today. That's the second disqualification of the race. So you need to serve those drive-throughs you get for speeding under safety car within 3 laps. If there is a safety car, you need to do it within 3 racing laps, which can confuse people a little bit and seems to have done so this time. The whole field still sticking pretty close together, so nobody's made any major mistakes coming off that safety car restart. George dropping off the back slightly, but Matthias has managed to get 7/10 in front down the road, being chased by the Mercedes duo, Luke and Quill. So it's an all Mercedes powered podium right now. Will be looking to make a difference to that on his medium tyres. Should have a pace advantage for the next 4 or 5 laps probably, before the hards really start coming into their own. But the driver we need to look out for really is Alfie, but he seems to be having some troubles with his tyre temperature and he's going to be coming under pressure here into one of the many reprofile corners, but manages to fend off the advances of Dino. That's possibly going to open up the AlphaTauri driver to Johnny in the McLaren behind. But they all slot into line for this twisty final sector. And Alfie's going to maintain P6, but he needs to get a bit of a wriggle on because he's not in the DRS. So when that opens within a lap, as Johnny's managed to overtake Dino around the final corner somehow. Dino must have made a mistake there for Johnny to make a move there, because it's really not an overtaking opportunity. Possibly with the DRS into turn 1, but around the final corner, that's kind of impossible around there. So great move from the Norwegian in the McLaren. And he's going to be the one now putting Alfie under pressure as he's almost back in the DRS range, Alfie, for when it opens next time round. As he's just about 1.2 off the back of Carroll and Will up in front. Will's plenty close enough to Quill ahead for him to get the DRS off the Mercedes driver. And all these front 5 happily in a DRS train. I'm not sure how much fighting we're going to see. Might be a bit of cooperation to try and get away from the likes of Alfie and Johnny behind. Alfie with that tyre advantage, and Johnny just had the raw pace early on. Kind of got his strategy a little bit wrong and picked up some damage on pit exit through no fault of his own. So we'll be looking to make a good recovery here, especially with Mitchell getting disqualified and Jelly not being here for this race, unfortunately, who are likely to be his main championship contenders. As around this final corner, which has claimed its fair number of victims both yesterday and today. Very tricky to keep the rear end balanced through there, as DRS is now going to be enabled, so they're going to get it after the quick chicane, as Matthias gets a 3-second time penalty in the lead and seems to have made a mistake, and that's going to put Luke right on the back of him as well. So Luke's going to be very close to McLaren in the lead, possibly pushing to take advantage of whatever mistake Matthias has made. But he can also happily sit here and just take benefit of that penalty Matthias has got. It seemed to be at turn 1, which isn't one of the bugged corners here at Australia that can just give you instant penalties. So I think that is just an accumulation of warnings from the McLaren driver. But Luke doesn't quite seem to have the straight line speed, really not gaining anything on Matthias here. And both around about 50% battery. Here's where we're going to see our first chunk of DRS after this safety car restart. Luke gets a good line through there, and he's going to have that rear wing flap wide open. But he's just not going to be close enough to make a move. And Matthias doing well, holding on to his battery, not deploying for no reason, as Johnny's managed to force his way past Alfie up into 5th place. So here comes the McLaren driver. He's on the freshest hard tyres of anyone, so he's probably going to be the quickest at the end of the race, as Alfie's mediums are going to start to drop off a little bit come the last couple of laps. Johnny needs to get a bit of a wriggle on though and get back in the DRS range of these guys in front, as Carroll pits at the back. So a bad day for Haas as well, currently running in 8th and what's going to be a distant 9th. Carroll's lost his front wing as well, so he's going to be going on those hard tyres, but he has already done 9 laps on them. Might have been a better idea to go with softs, dude. They would have been much better, I think, for getting you to the end. They are good for probably 8 or 9 laps ordinarily, and light fuel loads, you could be pretty rapid, but kind of relying on a safety car to bail Carroll out here, as he's going to be 24 seconds off the back of the pack after that pit stop. But back to the front, Johnny's pushing, but he's not quite going to make DRS, I don't think. Choosing not to deploy his battery. I think I might have been tempted to, just to gain that extra little bit of time on Will up in front, as Will is now starting to pressure Quill in the second Mercedes. Quill's going to be hoping to hold on to this podium position. Bit of a rear gunner action here for Luke, as Luke's not really being able to make much of an impact on Matthias after having that DRS, after Matthias made that little bit of a mistake the last time round. Although Matthias runs a bit deep there at the final corner, and that's going to bring Luke possibly right on his gearbox if he can get a good exit out of the final corner, and he gets a pretty good one. And with the DRS now, he's going to have a run all the way down to turn 3. If he can just get the line nailed on through this quick flick around 1 and 2, which has been opened up slightly. Possibly a little bit off track there on the exit of turn 1 on the inside of turn 2. But it's not going to give him a penalty, but might have been a warning, as Johnny has managed to get in the DRS range of Will. So this front 5 now are all going to have the DRS, apart from Matthias at the front, obviously. So we might see these guys all closing up over the next 7 laps, as these hard tyres start to come into their own a little bit here. Will's mediums are going to start to drop off, and I think he might be a little bit vulnerable to Johnny if Johnny can get a good run through the quick chicane. Gap at the front still around half a second, as Johnny's probably fastest man on track, I would think, right now. With those 7-lap-old hard tyres, seems to have pulled a decent gap out to Alfie. He's going to deploy a little bit of battery just on the exit there of the quick chicane. But between Will having the DRS as well, it's not going to bring him much closer to the Red Bull, although Will runs pretty wide there. And probably picked up a warning, as he just managed to slide off track a little bit through the reprofiled turn 10. As Johnny now with the DRS again, but so does Will up in front. The gap's kind of stable at the front, apart from Johnny here, looking for a way past the Red Bull. Can he make it a McLaren and Mercedes front 4? If he can make this move here, he's going to deploy some battery on the run down to turn 3. He's going to go for a move to the inside, as we've got a yellow flag because Alfie spun. And Johnny manages to make the move, squeezes through at turn 3. It's been widened out a little bit to try and make overtaking a little bit easier for this year. And Johnny making the most of that, and now he's going to be on this rapid back straight. If he can get a good exit out of here, he should be able to stick within the DRS of Quill. But Quill's just dropping away from Luke slightly. Spent an awful lot of his battery. Luke's kind of sitting on it. But Quill's going to deploy a little bit of the small amount he's got left, just sipping his ERS at this point, just to make sure he gets that DRS to protect himself from Johnny behind. Johnny's got about 50% battery, as does Will. And Matthias and Luke at the front, both also on around 50 or 60%. So Quill here is going to be the one at a disadvantage, just 11% of his battery left, as Alfie's had another spin. Probably overheated tyres from the first one, and that's going to make it very difficult for him to get any kind of pace out. He's going to have to almost limp his way around for around a lap until they sort of cool down. Matthias' lead at the front though as we go on to lap 24, so just 6 laps left here. Around about 4/10, Luke's closing in gradually and still not really spending any of his batteries, kind of sitting on it and waiting for the optimal time to make a move, I think. As Matthias flicks it round turn 3, good stable line through there. Going to be careful here on turn 4, don't want to run it wide. You can get instant penalties at that corner. Through the quick flicks. And now into sector 2. Matthias going faster than he has so far in the race. He's a 1/10 and a half up. As Dino has pit and put the softs on, so they'll be going to the end, and he'll probably annihilate whatever the fastest lap currently is. Which would not surprise me whatsoever. Let's take a look at what the fastest lap is. So it's currently Johnny with a 21.2. All of the front 4 in the 21s, along with Carol, Dino and Alfie as well with a 1:21 as their fastest lap. So I think Dino's going to get somewhere in the low 20s probably here. The softs are pretty mega for a few laps. But we've got a yellow flag as Alfie's managed to lose it again at turn 1. So probably didn't quite nurse them enough to cool them right down. But Matthias starting to apply a little bit of pressure, use a bit of battery, stretch out that lead at the front. It's now up to 8.5 tenths. But Luke with the DRS, he's going to deploy as well to make sure he sticks with Matthias, who puts in a new fastest lap, which is going to be a 21.0. Like I say, I think Dino's going to destroy that once he gets around to do a lap on his softs. They are pretty mega around here. These guys are on pretty worn, hard tyres. But these two have now managed to pull away quite a lot, as Johnny's going to take a look around the outside of Quill, wheel to wheel through turn 3. Quill just about leaves the space, and we're going to stay side by side through the whole car pack section. But I think Quill's just about going to hold on here. Doesn't leave Johnny much in the way of space on the outside, but no contact. I think that was all just about fair, maybe right on the line. But Johnny's got a better exit here out of the quick flick onto this long back straight, and he's going to get around the outside of Quill. Look to take a move, but he's actually lost out to Will in the Red Bull. And that's a great opportunistic dive from the Red Bull, but they're going to go side by side through the quick chicane. Johnny manages to keep the place, manages to keep P4, turning attack into defense. He had to there, as he's going to look for a move on Quill now with the DRS. Had to go on the grass, but manages to squeeze his way through and get his McLaren up into 3rd place, and that's going to make Quill vulnerable to Will behind. Leave space on the inside of the corner, and just about manages to hold the position, but he's dangerously close to dropping out of Johnny's DRS. But he is going to get that rear wing flap open here as Alfie's at another moment. And he's about to get lapped when he was 5th about 4 laps ago. So, not been a good stint for Alfie, unfortunately, as Matthias and Luke have put a lap on him, as they're still going toe-to-toe at the front, with a 5-second gap now back to Johnny, and I don't even think Johnny's going to catch that. So I think we're looking at a 2-horse race for the lead. And Quill and Will chasing after Johnny, hoping to capitalise on any mistakes that they see from the McLaren driver and steal that final podium position. Back at the front, McLaren versus Mercedes, as there you go. Dino with a 19.4 annihilates that fastest lap, as I thought he would on the soft tyres. So that's going to be an extra point for the AlphaTauri driver. Unfortunately, had a couple of moments in the race and dropped down to P8. But Luke with the DRS is about 4 tenths behind Matthias. We'll be looking to get as close as he can. Maybe look at a move into turn 3, either this lap or the next one, as Carol also picks up a 3-second time penalty. Luke can, of course, just sit here. Matthias does have that 3-second time penalty for track limits, which, as I said, did seem to be an accumulation of warnings, not a instant bugged penalty. So it's probable that's not going to get removed, unless one of the warnings was caused by being forced off track, which is entirely plausible. Didn't witness all of them. But Luke is happy to sit here for the time being, it seems. He's still sitting on about 30% of his battery. Matthias down into the teens and not defending thin air, so good driving from both of them. Not going for silly lunges or defending thin air. As Johnny's still 5 seconds back, so he's not closing in on these guys too much, and Quill's coming with him. But Will has dropped off the back of these two a little bit, as Alfie's had another moment at turn 1. Seems to be the order of the day, really. McLaren versus Mercedes, and Alfie has a moment at turn 1. So that's the tagline for the race, I guess. But Luke here looking to get as close as possible with the DRS. It is a pretty good overtaking point at the end of this DRS straight. If Luke can stick as close as he can through here, but Matthias just gets a better exit out of the quick chicane. And he's just about, I think, going to hold on to this. Yeah, Luke chooses not to go for the move, but gets very close under braking. And these two are losing time to Johnny behind, but it's still 4.5 second gap. I don't think he's going to get close enough before the end unless these two really fight, which I kind of think is what Johnny's relying on. Or possibly just bridging that 3 second gap up to Matthias to steal second place off his teammate if that penalty does stand and Johnny's gets removed. But Quills had a bit of a moment and dropped out of the DRS range just about of Johnny. So he's not going to have that rear wing open here on the run down to turn 3, which might release Johnny a little bit to go chasing without having to look in his mirrors. The gap at the front, just 0.4 of a second. Luke's kind of just hanging here, but we are now on the penultimate lap, so if he's going to make a move, he kind of has to do it now. Either this lap or into turn 3 on the next one. As Alfie pits, speeds in the pit lane. He is a lap down, so bad to worse, I think, for the Alfa Romeo driver today. But he is still going to get 2 points, so you can't really complain too much about that. There's still 0.3 the gap at the front. Johnny's closed up to 4.1 behind now. If these two start fighting, that's really going to open up possibilities for the McLaren driver to get within that penalty window. Luke's happy to chill for now. Maybe he is just going to sit behind Matthias and take the win on penalties. If not, his best overtaking opportunity is probably into turn 3, where he gets his double helping of DRS here down the pit straight and then on the run under the trees up to turn 3. Pushing his Mercedes out that final corner. He's still sitting on quite a lot more battery than Matthias. Matthias is going to spend a little bit here just to try and keep that gap as big as possible. And Luke's so close, though, if he can get a good run out of this first couple of corners there. Just 0.3 back, still not spending the battery and still not going for a move. So the only real overtaking opportunity left, unless Matthias makes a major mistake, is into turn 12. The reprofiled right-hander at the end of the other DRS zone. Johnny closing into 3.5 seconds, so he needs to find another half a second this lap if he wants to take that position off Matthias after penalties, depending on how it all falls in terms of the stewarding decisions. Luke getting ever closer, just 1/4 second back. We had a difference between the leaders of 0.5 tenth yesterday. Well, we've seen the same again. Luke gets a good run out of the chicane. And Matthias with no DRS is going to be vulnerable. No battery either. Luke's going to spend and he's going to get down the inside. And he is going to take the lead on the final lap of the race as we come into Sector 3. Can he just keep his Mercedes on track and pointing in the right direction to take a win here? It's going to be his first win in 2 years, I believe, for the Mercedes driver as he rounds the final corner. Matthias has a bit of a moment that's going to stop him fighting back up to the line, and Luke is going to take the win ahead of Matthias. Johnny finishes 3rd, and Quill's going to jump Johnny on penalties. So unless Johnny can get that removed, that's going to be a double podium for Mercedes. Will Coates comes home P5, did 20 laps on those medium tyres for the Red Bull. So some really, really good tyre preservation there, although his pace wasn't great at the end. George Part is going to come home 6th for Haas, followed by his teammate Karol Wardzinski in the second Haas car, so double points finish for Haas. Makes them one of only 3 teams that managed to actually get both their drivers to the end. Then Dino with his fastest lap in P8, and Alfie takes P9 despite being a lap down because he actually finished the race instead of half the grid that crashed. So driver of the day goes to Quill. I would say it should go to Luke personally. It was some really, really good smart attacking, smart offensive driving. Didn't force Matthias off track at any point, didn't go for any moves that definitely were not on. Didn't do anything I'd say was kind of across the line, just bided his time, made that move on the final lap. Kind of the final opportunity he had as well, so definitely left it late. Matthias possibly could have tried to defend that a little harder, but he was kind of a sitting duck after spending up on his battery and not having the DRS down there. So that is unfortunate for Matthias. But that is going to be a P2, so it's still pretty good points for the championship, with Mitchie getting disqualified. Jelly not attending. Unfortunately, he's currently on holiday, I believe. and Johnny finishing behind him. That's going to be really good in terms of his championship aspirations. As we just take a look here at the race director. Yeah, quite a lot of stuff. Terminal damage there on lap 4 for Hansen Ang. Terminal damage on lap 8 for Joseph Ellison. And lap 10 for Owen Heinen. The disqualification there for Mitchell under safety car. Terminal damage on lap 14 for Antonio Cortez. Terminal damage on lap 15 for Jan Nadir. And more warnings. And plenty of warnings. And then a 5-second unserved penalty for Alfie at the end. Whew. I apologise for the technical difficulties. We'll attempt to get those all happily resolved for next week, and hopefully we'll have this as a actual stream and not just a recording of about 80% of a race after it decided to stop disconnecting me every 5 minutes. But that is GRS. That's Tier 1. That's Round 1 at Australia. I've been Zeke, I've been your commentator, and be sure to join us next week where we will travel to the land of the rising sun and Suzuka. First wheel OP track of the season, so good luck to all those of us on controllers. Remember to like and subscribe. Sign-ups are open for both tiers. There are full-time seats available. There's a couple in each one where the pace of certain drivers just didn't quite fit with the other one. So hopefully we can see you on the grid. There should be a link to the Discord in the video description as well once it all gets uploaded and everything. So you should be able to join through that. For those of you who want to experience league racing with GRS, I've been Zeke, and thank you all for watching, and I will see you next week.